Hey everybody, it's Bjorn, aka Bjorn to Sell, your trusted guide to all things real estate in Minnesota. And today we're diving into one of the most important parts of the home buying process, and that's closing time frames. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a seasoned homeowner, understanding how closing works and what to expect is the key to a smooth transaction. So what do you say that we jump on in? So in my experience, the quickest closing I've ever had was about 17 days, and the longest was about 47. On average, it's about 30 days, but there's a lot that happens during that time. Once your offer is accepted, the clock starts ticking, and in real estate, time is of the essence, meaning deadlines are critical to make sure everything stays on track. The first big step is the inspection contingency. This typically gives you about 10 days to get through the inspection process, though it can vary depending on the terms of the offer. I always recommend scheduling that inspection as soon as possible to allow time for any negotiations and to keep that clock moving forward. The sooner we can address the issues, the better. Not that we want to rush through it, but if we can get it done and move on to the next step or move on from the transaction, that's a good thing. Within the first 3 days of acceptance, you'll also need to deposit your earnest money. This shows your commitment to the transaction and is held in an escrow account until closing. After the inspection, the next step is the appraisal. This is an independent evaluation of your home's value, ordered by the lender to make sure it's worth the purchase price. Well, you, the buyer, and the sellers don't have much input here. It's a key step for the financing component. When it comes to financing, buyers will be working closely with their lenders. This is where it's absolutely essential to provide any requested documents like pay stubs, tax returns, or bank statements in a timely manner. Delays in providing this information, well, it can push back your closing date and can have a big impact on the deal. So staying organized and responsive is a big key. Let's talk about the closing agent. In many cases, in my experience, the title company also serves as the closing agent, though sometimes they're separate entities and sometimes not. The closing agent's job is to tie everything together. They handle the final paperwork, ensure that the funds are in place, and make sure that the title insurance is ready. They play a critical role, and communication with them, well, that's just as important as working with your lender. As closing day gets closer, it's time to prepare by transferring utilities like electric, gas, water, sewer, garbage, and internet into your name. You'll want the switch to happen on the closing date so that there's no gap in services. A day or two before closing, and in some cases a day of, we'll schedule the final walkthrough. This is your chance to confirm that the home is in the agreed upon condition and that any negotiated repairs have been completed. Don't skip this step. In Minnesota, buyers typically sign the final documents on the day of closing, while sellers, just for your information, they can sign early, sometimes a few days, sometimes a week earlier, sometimes even more. But once the paperwork is signed and the funds switch hands, the home is officially yours. Closing timeframes can also depend on the seller's wants and needs. Some sellers want a quick closing to access their funds faster, while others need more time for coordinating their move. For example, years back I had some clients who wanted to wait until after the holidays to close because, well, it just made their transaction easier. My job is to manage these timeframes and make sure everything stays on schedule. It's also worth mentioning programs like Minnesota Housing, which offer down payment and closing cost assistance. These can be game changers for buyers, so be sure to ask your lender about these options to see if it's right for you. So if you're preparing to buy or sell a home, really, understanding the timing of a real estate transaction is crucial. With proper planning, clear communication, and the right team in place, you'll be well on your way to a successful and smooth closing. Now next week, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of this information. I'm going to show you how you can use your understanding that you now have of closing time frames to start the home search process and kind of work backwards to set a time frame that fits your goals. It's a great way to feel more in control of the process and stay on track. Now, if you have any questions about closing or you're ready to start your home buying journey, you know what to do. Head to bjorntosell.com to reach out with me and connect with me directly, or you can use the comments below. Hey, and don't forget to look in the description to get your free buyer's guide. And heck, maybe you need a seller's guide too. It's right there. All you got to do is click and download it. Very valuable information. Please make sure to subscribe and follow me for more weekly tips to help you achieve your real estate goals. Until next week, be kind to one another.